Hi guys. The transits today, the part of the transits today will be short, and then I'm going to have some fun with you that has connection to the gates that are in the Sun Earth. So let's look at it. Yesterday the Sun got into the 12th gate, standstill, caution, the quality of restraint and the importance of meditation and inaction in confronting temptation. And of course, the temptation comes from the solar plexus, and this gate looks at the solar plexus. It is a part of the channel of openness, a design of a social being, a very interesting manifesting individual channel. And this 12th gate is sits also Venus sits in it. It's a gate in the throat, as we see. It's the gate of articulation, acoustic gate, of course, and also when people with this gate talk, you can hear from the tone of their voice, you can hear the exact mood they're in, especially if they're emotional, but so this gate is very interesting, and this line, the second line, purification, gave me actually the inspiration to have fun with you in a few minutes, and you will soon see. So we have this gate of caution, and everybody that has the 22nd gate hanging, for example, in an open solar plexus is going to feel very emotional and moody, and also will have, if the throat is open, for example, will have an outlet in the throat. And of course, people who have the 22nd gate in a defined solar plexus and no throat also will have an outlet. So here we have a voice. It's the gate. Ra says that it's the only gate in the throat, that it's not always about action. Sometimes it's about inaction because of the emotional caution that this gate is all the time checking if it's the right time to articulate, to go out, to impact. Okay, it's part of manifesting, emotional manifesting channel. So, if the manifester or the MG operate correctly, then they really have to be careful not to impact with the wrong mood. So it's a very moody gate, and everything about the individual circuitry, and especially these moody channels, is that the individual has to do things only when he's in the mood. So, so we're going to have a very interesting week, and I invite you to check if your chart connects directly to this gate. It's going to be interesting, and if not, you will be able to watch it and hear it and see it around you. The Earth is in the 11th gate, in the Ajna, the gate of ideas, a harmonic condition in the individual or society that permits assessment before renewed action. Now, this is very interesting because this gate, and in this line, the 11th in the second line, is my design moon, and this gate of ideas is a very interesting gate. And we know that we have a lot of mental activations now. We are in this period that just began with the nodes that for a few of us connect, the gates of the nodes connect to our design. For example, if we have the 47th gate or the 4th gate, and now if we have the 56th gate. And the gate of ideas is another interesting thing. Before human design, I took my ideas very, very seriously, and because this is my design moon, it drove me into sharing my ideas and really taking them seriously. And of course, without waiting, it can be a disaster. That share your ideas, but the problem is that not always sharing is enough for you. You want to you want to manifest your ideas. And it's interesting because I've learned that, especially this second line that talks about eliminating boredom in any possible way, then it just, my mind is just here to amuse me and others when I'm invited, but it's not to be taken too seriously. And of course, if there is a good idea, then for me as a projector, the invitation to manifest it will come at the correct time, and then I will have to sleep on it and get to emotional clarity if this really is worth doing anything with it, if my design really takes me there. So we are going to see a lot and hear a lot of ideas and a lot of, you know, it's the gate that points towards the 56, which is the gate of the voice in the throat that said, I believe. So I just invite you not to believe to every idea that will come to your head this week. And we have Mercury that came into the 20th gate in the throat too. We have a lot of throat activations because this is the quarter of civilization, but also Mercury moves now in this quarter, so it's interesting to watch. And the 20th gate is very interesting because it connects to 3 other gates. So everybody that has the 10th gate or the 57th gate or the 34th gate, all these gates connect to the 20th gate and can, first of all, create a voice for somebody with an open throat, for me, for example, and also, you know, if it connects to the 34, it can, you know, we become an MG. I mean, we of course, no, we don't become an MG, but energetically we are energized and we can feel that we need to get up and do stuff and feel energized. Depends of the design, of course. In an open sacral, an open spleen can feel very well. And of course, if there's the 10th gate in an open G, it defines the G, conditions the G, and the feeling is as if we found something. So it's important to watch it, and we're going to talk about it. It's the gate of the now. Yes, we're going to talk about the now and our realizations in the now, and we really have to just take care not to take the action in the now, because this is not ours. This is just what we're supposed to talk about. Even not supposed to, but we are programmed to talk about. So we have no other choice. So these are the 3 main changes that happened. As I speak, the moon is in the 48th gate, but I think it will move in very soon. So just enjoy all those with the 16 that feel that they don't have enough depth. So now you have this an hour or something to feel deep enough. Okay, so now I'm going to take you for a little interesting journey that began while one of my clients was deeply affected by the nodes and started asking questions, but of course not very deep questions and not unique questions, that quite homogenized questions, the usual questions I get in the first or the second meeting. And it was about human design. Maybe it's a cult, it tells us how to behave. And he compared, as the mind does. Yes, the mind is a comparing machine. He compared it to Scientology. Now that was really funny because as I see it, these two systems are so different. I mean, Scientology is a mind control mechanism, and human design is the revelation of how not to be influenced or not to be run by somebody else or somebody else's mind or our mind. So this is completely, I think it's even, you can't compare it. But anyway, this man recommended me to watch a movie that HBO has done about Ron Hubbard and the Scientology Church, and it's a really excellent movie, and I watched it. And while watching it, I, of course, took a deep look into Ron Hubbard's chart, and I found amazing stuff. And because these two gates of the Sun Earth are here, and I felt in my gate of eliminating boredom just took me to a journey. So I would like to share with you just a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit from watching this, how the not self mind can use our definition, use our qualities, our uniqueness, and make a monster out of it. And this is amazing, amazing. I love watching it. I love watching how the program uses us when we are not living our design. When we live a design, it's kind of we serve the program this way or another. This is how I see it. And also we don't fall in the deep swamp. We're not being sucked into something that we don't want to be there. Not in an unconscious way, actually, I think. Well, this is a long discussion. I'm not going to get into it. But these people that are driven by not self-motivation and using their design can get to far places. And I have this attraction to weird stuff, weird people. And whenever I have the chance to explore a chart of somebody that really influenced and was, as I see it, not living their design, not wholly living their design, or let's say living their design plus their not self, then I'm getting really interested. So let's look at this. First of all, we can see that this chart is pure individual, and there are a lot of channels, and all of them are pure individual. This is really rare to see it like that. And we have the format individual channel. Yes, the channel of mutation here down here. This is the pressure, the individual pressure, the pulse, the energy that gives the whole chart its individual pulse. But of course, all the other channels are individual, so it's really strong. So this is about empowering mutation. And you can see the individual mental channel, which brings the pressure to know the unknown, but it's like these two pressure centers with this individual pulse. This is very, very strong. Now he's a triple split. So because of him being a triple split, the ego center, the only center that is open, is the place of the biggest conditioning. We will see that. We see that he's very influential. He's a fifth line personality, and he has all these 8 centers defined and 2 wire channels. Wire channels are channels that influence in a large group. So we have the mutation and we have the channel of the beat that empowers direction. And this is the cross of informing, and we have here 2 gates that come from the cross of rulership. Oh yes, there is a lot of rulership here. And 2 gates that come from the cross of Eden, that is looking for, he was like thrown out of Eden, and he's trying to create the new Eden. So this is amazing. We will get a little deeper into it. So first of all, let's look at this mind. And we talked about mind activations last week, and we have a very active mind in the nodes now, and there are also people that have these activations. 30% of humanity has a defined head center, so they have 30% have one of the three mental channels. Now, these channels, and especially the gates in the head, the three gates in the head, are the gates of madness. Because this pressure, if we don't know what to do with it, it can drive us mad. And as I see it, especially the individual channel, because the individual channel is about the pressure to know the unknown. And this pressure can drive you crazy when you are not, when you don't know what to do with it, how to approach it. And I can share from my experience, I have the channel of the abstract, that before human design, my mind could really drive me mad. And human design gave me this amazing present. Actually, it started a little bit before, while I was practicing a few years of practicing of the work of Byron Katie, that helped me release the mind a little bit. But human design gave me the mechanics, how it works, and why it shouldn't be believed all the time, and the fact, the simple and amazing fact that this pressure doesn't run my life. Now, in this pressure to know the unknown, and we know that this is a very acoustic mind. His whole design is acoustic, yes? The individual circuitry is very acoustic. And this mind hears voices. And the voices that this mind hears are telling stories, and we have here also the doubts in it, and we have the confusion, and we have the oppression. So all of this mental activity and the gate of ideas that needs to eliminate the boredom, these activations actually created in Ron Hubbard the drive and the pressure to write. And he wrote like 1,000 books or something more. He gained the Guinness record for book writing or something like this, for the amount of books that he was writing. And he was writing science fiction, which is really amazing. If he stayed there, it could be great, because he was very potent and his amazing mind couldn't stop working, and he was just on and on trying to stimulate himself. The problem is that he didn't stop there. And what happened is that this open ego of his drove him to prove and improve all the time. And he was looking for a way to get rid of his emotional wave. This is the way that I understand it, because of course he didn't have the mechanics, and I don't think he waited for anything. So what happened is that this acoustic mind and personality sun that sits on the gate of grace, this is the gate of attentiveness in the channel of the openness. He was so oppressed and depressed from this emotional moodiness that he didn't know what to do with, and he gave it all he attached to this emotional moodiness reasons. Yes, he wanted to realize the past, his personality earth, the 47th gate, the gate of realization, the gate of oppression. He wanted to realize the past. He wanted to understand to know the unknown. He had doubts all the time. So this pushed him into creating this process that is called auditing. Now, this is amazing, because this is the gate of attentiveness, the left ear. And what this process does is that somebody listens to your emotional stories in order to clear the past. Now, it's very interesting because, of course, there is no reason to the emotional wave, and of course, it will never end. And this was amazing because this process never ends, because you do it again and again, and there's always an emotional state, and there's always a reason that you can attach to it, especially if you don't know that there is no connection. So it's very deep to see how his pressures and pressure to mutate and the pressure to empower the struggle of finding a new direction, he couldn't let go, and he was improving this this auditing process more and more with pressure. It's amazing. Now, this 12 in the second line that he has 4 times the 12th gate, which is really strong, yes? And all these 4 places, 2 Plutos and Moon and Design Earth, they all combine with his personality Sun. This is very, very strong. And these 12 in the second line, purification, rigorous withdrawal from negative influence. He wanted all the time to clear. He found this word clear for somebody who cleared himself from all the conditioning. He didn't call it like that, of course. And he also later invented stories about aliens that are in our bodies. I mean, he was really, if we talk about innovative thinking, he was that, but of course, with the madness part of it and with the rulership part of it, that he enforced it. And of course, there are horrible stories about him, and I don't want to get into it. I just want to show how this man took his design in a wrong way. He approached it in a wrong way, wanted to get rid, wanted to purify the emotions that he never can purify. He could only wait, and as a triple split emotional being, he needed really to wait, and I'm sure he didn't if you listen to the stories about him. This is really interesting. So when we look at it, and we look at this open ego that encouraged competitiveness and needed all the time to prove and felt that he's not good enough, and he created more and more and more phases in this process of getting clear. And of course, what happened to people with this control, I mean, I invite you to watch the movie. It's very, 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 very educating to see how the not self loves to be programmed and to be ruled. It's unbelievable what homogenization does to us. It's really interesting, because if he didn't have followers, then he would sit in his room and bang his head to the wall. And this is the exact words that I say about Adolf Hitler, which I also dived and digged his chart and from all angles. And yes, he was what he was, but he couldn't do anything else unless he has people around. He has people around him that encourage him and take him and, follow him. And give manifestation to all of this. I mean, you can't rule people if they are not ruled, and I'm sure they were ruled and mind controlled because they are very homogenized and because most of humanity is built for that. And only now we can see little by little a change, which also not going to be wide as I perceive it, but there are people that start to resist this huge mind control systems that we have all over the place. But this is very, very interesting what's going on there. And I also glimpsed at the person that continued his way. He has some similar things with Ron Hubbard. Interesting, but not this influential design. This is really interesting. So he empowers the direction and the mutation and the struggle, and he gives emotional impact, and he's driven from his moodiness, melancholy, and emotional melancholy. And his fix is, his notes. The second gate in the sixth line is fixation. He took people in a very narrow road. And again, this obsessive purification need, and the boredom and the oppression, and of course, the universalization of the attentiveness process, of the auditing process. This is really amazing. Now, I invite you, if you have the time and the resources, to get deeper into this chart, and I really recommend the movie. And that's it. I didn't want to analyze this chart, but just to show you a few things, and we can take from that how the program affects us if we are not in a strategy and authority, because the mind always wants to be a director of our lives, even if we are, even when we live our design, the mind is not quiet, and there are bad days and good days, of course, and this and that all the time, but the mind doesn't stop working, especially if it's defined, but also if it's influenced by the transits, of course, and by other people's mind around us. We are never alone. So, so the mind wants to take control all the time, but we have strategy and authority, the only way to bring us back to our uniqueness and protect it, and we need to remember that all the time. And of course, I always add to this sleeping alone, because sleeping alone is the only way we get really clear from other people's energies. So that's it for today. I hope you liked it, and see you. Bye-bye.